Coming up on CHGO Cubs, 2 days in, the Cubs already have 2 injured pitchers. Plus, Bregman Watch 2025. We're down to the final 3 with a backup plan. We're nobody's backup. CHGO Cubs next. Hey, Chicago, what do you say? It's the CHGO Cubs Podcast. It is February 11th, and we already have Cubs injuries. I mean, that's earlier than normal. Normally, they're not even there yet, but Luke Stuckmeyer, Cody Delmendo, we're going to talk about these Cubs injuries that we have. We have the Bregman update for you that's going on right now. Get the live YouTube chat rolling for you, which is the best way. If you're new to the show or CHGO, it's the best way to enjoy what we do because you can get into the live chat and we'll communicate with you throughout the show. Sean Anderson running the 1s and 2s, spinning the dials for us, you might say. Make sure you hit the like button. I saw the likes already up to 13. Ding, 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 ding,
That's
ding,
nice.
ding.
That's
We
nice.
like that. That's very nice.
It took one whole segment to get past 11 last week, right? Or yesterday, right?
We had a couple
Something like
weeks
that.
where we didn't get to 11, Cody.
I don't think that's
Oh.
true. That's not true.
Uh,
By the way, I sent the tweet, so hit the retweet.
oh,
for
hold
me.
on. Hold on, everybody. Pause the show. I have
Pause
to
the
find
show.
How did we not do this before 1:30?
Hold
Well,
on.
we're
It's
usually pretty
happening.
good about
It's
it,
happening.
but no one
It's
sent the
happening.
link into
It's
Slack,
happening.
and so I wasn't thinking about
And it's been retweeted. Lucky
good.
number 13.
it. We versatile.
Listen,
Like,
we're
versatile.
we're bracing for the storm.
All
Our,
right, so-
our minds right now are on having salt in your trunk. It's about having a flare in your back seat, and of
Mhm.
course, making sure you stock up on toilet paper and paper towels.
I asked, how was the link not tweeted out? And Cody said, because you didn't send the link in Slack. So instead of asking at any of the 10 minutes before the show, hey, can you send the link in Slack?
I didn't.
Cody throws me under the bus when the show starts.
Beep, beep, beep.
I'm not
buried somebody
trying
yesterday.
to
Who was
throw
it
anyone
yesterday?
under the bus. I wasn't trying to throw Patrick under the bus yesterday. I'm not trying to throw Sean under the bus. It's just I didn't think about it, honestly, until the 30-second countdown. So anyway, my bad for not asking, Sean.
Listen, we're
I'll,
here.
I'll take the L on this one.
You guys
Well,
done
I have
bickering?
no retort. Yeah, I'm done.
You're done bickering now?
We got a snow day tomorrow.
We do.
I'm
Snow
so
day,
happy.
yeah.
Snow day tomorrow.
So anyways, the Bregman watch thing, here's the latest. We have multiple people now saying it sort of seems like it's down to 3.
Yeah.
Sounds like the Astros are out.
Buster Olney, I believe.
Buster only saying it's down to 3. Harold Reynolds on MLB Network saying his sources told him 2 weeks ago that Bregman's going to go to the Cubs eventually.
Do you think how much do you believe Harold Reynolds' sources?
Okay, this
Also,
is
he called Matt Shaw Alex Shaw.
that's
by the
correct.
way.
That's where I was going.
And he also said that
He was going to
that
move to
Matt
the
Shaw.
outfield.
Yeah. He also
Alex
said
Shaw was going to move to the outfield.
I'm
So,
like, do nothing against Harold Reynolds.
No.
He's on my TV when I was a kid. And
and
baseball
he's
tonight.
he's
Baseball
an
tonight was
enjoyable
awesome.
talent.
right?
He just
Like-
might not have the facts.
He's like us, FAX.
Yeah. He's more about the vibes than he is about the facts.
Him and Matt Vasgersian, they're just up on the set at MLB Network talking ball. Listen, I respect it. That's what we do every day.
Listen, when you're on TV that much and he's just ad-libbing, occasionally some crazy stuff's going to come out of your mouth.
Yeah.
That's just the bottom line.
Right.
And there's a lot of players. Yes. So take it with a grain of salt. But they are saying Tigers, Cubs, Red Sox was their theme, saying it's down to the 3. They pointed out, listen, the Red Sox, they're going to have to move some guys around. It's a much tougher fit for the Red Sox than it is for the other 2 teams. So if it's down to the Tigers and Cubs, where does he want to go? Like, are the Tigers legit? Does he want to go there? Does he want the short-term deal with the Cubs where he can potentially hit the market again and go back out there?
Well, we'll just speak in terms of baseball. All right. The Tigers, surprise playoff team, right? AJ Hinch is there. Vibes are good there right now. Reportedly, they're the only team that's really offered a 6 or 7 year deal, I'm pretty sure. The Red Sox, obviously, Fenway Park, great place to play baseball.
Tough division.
Very tough division, though. But, you know, I don't think the Red Sox are bad. It's just very tough division. And then you look at the Cubs, and it's like, okay, well, they're already on path to be favorites in the NL Central. Kyle Tucker and Ryan Presley are there. Wrigley Field. And even though it's a short-term deal, you can test the market next year if you want, if you have a great year. Yeah. And even if he doesn't have the best year, he's still going to be on a team that's competitive and should be good. You know what I mean? So, to me, if I was him, from baseball perspective of everything, I would be choosing the Tigers or the Cubs. And if he already isn't interested in going to Detroit, like all the rumors are out there that over the last couple weeks, then maybe it's the Cubs. Everything just comes back to the Cubs to me, and that's not my bias. That's not my hopes and dreams. Like I said a month ago, that the longer this plays out, the more likely I think he's going to go the Cubs. So, yeah, I'm just so over it. Just sign already.
I see our guy Gary Ross is here today. Welcome back, Gary. Appreciate it. I'm asking you this, Sean. Are the Cubs taking one out of the White Sox playbook here? Have they signed Nicky Lopez just to try and reel in Alex Bregman, a la when the Sox were trying to get Manny Machado's relatives on the team?
Well, that's the thing is the White Sox actually went full hog, for a lack of a better term, and they got his brother-in-law. They got the workout partner. They just got the workout partner. So
Correct.
Until I see Bregman's in-laws in camp, then they haven't gone full White Sox.
Okay. Do we have the Nicky Lopez? I didn't even know they knew each other, but this was via Marquis' Twitter page. This is Nicky Lopez at Cubs camp.
Yeah, I mean, me and Bregman are actually really good friends. We work out in the off season together. So, I've been talking to him pretty much every single day about it. I don't know about that, but it would be sweet to share a locker room with him. We have a really we share a close friend. Also, that's actually I think one of his best friends. I played rookie ball with him, so we have a close friend. But we were at Exos together this off season, so I would love for him to be in this clubhouse with us. I think he makes his team better. Just his drive, the way he goes about his business, but also just the talent on the field as well. So. I don't think it would obviously hurt me. I think it'll help me, and it'll help our team, and that's what I'm focused on is how is this going to help our team, and how is this going to obviously I have to make the team first, but I'm willing and able to do whatever I need to do.
They've got Tucker, former teammate. They've got Presley, former teammate, and now Nicky Lopez talking every day to his buddy about this thing.
Yeah. Listen, though I think it matters, no. But if all
things are equal, why not go hang out with your buddies?
I mean, Bregman been in Arizona all winter. I'm pretty sure that's where he resides. It does help that you have guys that he respects and likes playing with, and Tucker and Presley. And I think it was all news to everyone today to hear that Alex Bregman, of all guys, is friends with Nicky Lopez.
There it is.
So,
where were you when Nicky Lopez reeled in Alex Bregman?
Well, when they make the 30 for 30, that'll be the first thing that they ask. Okay, it is whatever, man. Like this whole thing is just I'm so exhausted from
Madrigal would still be here today if it weren't for this connection. No, probably not.
Probably not. Did you see him show up to Mets camp with a Cubs bag?
I saw that. That was funny. Yeah, he was carrying the Cubs bag. I saw people on Twitter saying, come on, the Mets can't even afford to get the guy a new bag. Well,
even though it's a pretty normal thing. I saw Brent Rooker quote tweet the SNY tweet and say that he showed up to two different camps, or showed up to camp one year with 2 different bags from 2 different teams. So pretty normal thing. I do think it's funny though. Isn't
the whole point he's showing up? They're not going to mail him a bag. That's just a waste of time. He's got to show up to get the bag.
Right.
Yeah.
So anyway, in regards to this Bregman stuff,
yeah,
I think that we're all at a point where we're just ready to know if it's going to happen. What's crazy, though, is that, as you like to always point out, Cody Bellinger was February 24th.
The 24th
hour. I was up at 2 a.m.
predicted.
Mountain Time doing the emergency podcast
predicted.
with Brendan Miller.
Right, I did sleep
and
through it,
Ryan.
but I knew it was coming. I told you guys, hey, stay awake.
No, someone got out the crystal ball, and it was Luke Stuckmeyer, and he guessed correctly.
And Gary.
Credit to him. But we have it is February 11th. So if you can get him here before the full team reports, it's a better scenario than what happened with Bellinger last year. So I have no reason to think that he is going to go anywhere else other than the Cubs, unless the rumors about him not wanting to go to Detroit aren't true, unless whatever the Red Sox are doing comes out more. Like I feel like the Red Sox are just hanging out playing Nintendo during this entire thing. Like there's been nothing come out of Boston that says that like they're going hard for this guy. They've been more into the Arenado rumors of
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I think the big thing here from Buster Olney for sure is the fact that the Astros aren't part of this. Whether it's true or not, but at this point I have no reason to think it's not the Cubs.
Honestly, I've gotten to the point that I don't care.
Oh, well,
I don't care.
It's the cycle. It's the cycle, though.
Because I do think he's aging and all those things in the contract. What does it mean? What's the trickle-down effect of it? I found it interesting. I think it was Patrick Mooney and The Athletic.
Yeah. Ken Rosenthal, too.
And Ken Rosenthal talking about Justin Turner as a pivot. And the first thing I thought was,
pivot.
Yeah. I don't have a problem with Justin Turner being an addition as a bench guy because he could play first. We're still looking for the first baseman to back up Michael Busch.
And that's what he would be. They're not going to sign him to play third base.
You could not, like, if Shaw is not good at third base, like if Shaw's your third baseman, he needs to be sent down like Ian Happ was sent down and other guys, Kyle Schwarber was sent down. He would need to be sent back to AAA or something to work on some stuff. Would I feel comfortable with Justin Turner playing third base every day in the summer? Not really, because he hasn't hardly played there the last couple of years, and he's 40.
90 innings the last 2 years combined of Justin Turner playing at third base. He played 6 games at third base last year. He played majority of the time at DH or first base.
Yeah.
He makes a ton of sense at first base to platoon with Michael Busch.
Yes, he does.
You know, because Busch is a lefty and Turner is a righty.
Yeah, agree.
And even though he's older, he still had a 117 WRC plus last year. That's solid as a platoon first base / DH role.
I like him replacing Patrick Wisdom, if that's what you tell me the role he's taking.
Someone asked me,
could occasionally one day play a game at third base, the next day play at first base, and then take a couple off? Yes.
Someone asked me on Twitter the other day, like, or maybe it was TikTok, I can't remember, about like who's the new Patrick Wisdom, like who's that role, and I was like, ugh. Right now I don't know, like maybe Gage Workman, but like that guy hasn't, like I don't know if he'll even be on the opening day roster. Even though if he's gonna be here, he has to be on the 26 man because he's a full Rule 5 guy, right? I believe that's the
Gage
correct
Workman,
rule.
yeah.
But Justin Turner has obviously a long tenured history of success. And even though he's trended down because he's older and all that, like he's still an above league average hitter. If you have him in a bench role / DH, like that's a great situation for him, I think.
Yeah, I just don't think when people are talking about, when fans are thinking about pivoting, it's Bregman. It's not an apples to apples. It's sort of a different role, is what I would think they'd be considering. I agree with what Gary's saying in the chat that Turner wouldn't be the guy that you would think would be there if something went. It's almost like you're saying, listen, we believe in Shaw. He's going to be okay. Our backup plan is Birdie or Bruhan or Workman more than it would be Turner at that point. So we'll talk more about it. We've got some injury updates for you coming out of Sloan Park, and we'll talk about that in just a minute. But first, a word that's very critical from our friendly sponsors. Fellas, Listen up. Valentine's Day is here. And the least you could do for your Valentine is not smother them with your sour body odor. Mando whole body deodorant, safe to use anywhere on your body. Pits, grundle, thigh folds, belly buttons, butt cracks, and even your stanky feet. So reel in the love with irresistible aromas like bourbon leather on your feet. Maybe Clover Woods on your grundle and Mount Fuji in your pits. Or Pro Sport. Clinically proven to control odor better than a shower with just soap alone. 12 hours after a shower, the average man's grundle odor level was 5 out of 10. With Mando, that average grundle odor level was a 0. Sometimes it's good to be a 0. Mando's starter pack is perfect for new customers. It comes with a solid stick deodorant, cream tube deodorant, 2 free products of your choice like the mini body wash or deodorant wipes, and free shipping. As a special offer for our listeners, right now, $5 off the starter pack with our exclusive code that equates to over 40% off your starter pack for love. Use code CHGO at shopmando.com. That's SHOPMANDO.com. Please support our show. Tell them we sent you. Smell fresher, stay drier, and boost your confidence from head to toe with Mando.
I don't even know how to follow that up with, but that was pure cinema. But I can do my best by telling you about Shady Rays. All right, our friends at Shady Rays have you covered with premium polarized shades that won't break the bank, Luke. Shady Rays is an independent sunglasses company offering a world-class product rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people. The shades have durable frames and crystal clear optics, making them the perfect choice for all outdoor adventures. They have hundreds of options to choose from, so you're bound to find the perfect pair to match your style. They probably have a style in your favorite team's colors. I always wear the blue ones in left field at Wrigley Field last couple summers, actually. Definitely fit my style, the big frames ones. Plus, if your shades ever go missing or take an unexpected hit, don't sweat it. They have the most insane protection in all of eyewear. Every pair is backed by lost or broken replacements. If you don't love your shades, exchange for a new pair or return worry-free within 30 days. There's no risk when you shop. Their team always has your back with personal and fast support. Exclusively for our listeners, Shady Rays is giving out their best deal of the season. Head to shadyrays.com and use code CHGO for 35% off polarized sunglasses. Try for yourself the shades rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people.
Josh in the live YouTube chat is asking if he can get the Grundle bundle. That's something we might want to recommend to Mando. Sounds like a winning package, the Grundle bundle. No pun intended.
Yeah.
And Emily highly recommends the bourbon leather. See, there's a
Emily.
satisfied customer.
Yeah. There you go.
Bourbon leather.
That might have been the best ad read we've ever done.
I say, if you can mix bourbon leather with a little Mount Fuji, hello Valentine.
Sales team's going to really love us after that one. That's all I can say.
Nothing
you just
says
made
I
Jim's
love you.
birthday.
Yeah.
Nothing says
Happy
I love
birthday,
you like
sales guy Jim.
nothing says I love you like a little Mount Fuji on your toes.
Oh, gosh.
All right, so we were talking a little bit about the Bregman stuff. Some of the chat was mad because they don't want to talk about Bregman. It's sort of like the Taylor Swift, Kelsey was before the Super Bowl and the Chiefs. People are just sick of it. They don't want to even talk about it anymore.
Well, there's
but
nothing.
We can't help ourselves because there's an update every 5 minutes.
Well, and also, like, it is a major story. He is the best remaining free agent available.
Well, it's like the last big, unless something crazy happens, it's the last big story facing the. He's the biggest free agent on the market.
Mm-hmm.
You're talking about a guy who was runner-up for MVP. Mm-hmm. And it's also a big deal because how it would impact the Cubs moving forward.
Right.
Like, what is the deal? How long would he be here? I know you're trying to offer him a 1 year, but does that mean Nico has to get traded? Right? And then are you I've raised the concern that if you were to go on and trade Nico with this, how many 1 year potential rent? Because he could be a 1 year rental if he opts out.
Sure.
So could Presley. So could Tucker. And you could ship off Nico Horner and potentially prospects for another guy. And then what are you going to be left with in 2026? Now, that could be Jed trying to save his job. I'm not suggesting that's what it is.
Yeah.
I don't think that's the case, but it does leave you open for some concern in 2026 if all of a sudden everybody's like, peace out, thanks for the memories.
Rogue Wave Created said, this is Bellinger 2.0. Is that a bad thing? You guys brought up February 24th and the 24th hour. Is Bellinger 2.0 a bad thing? Because the first year of Bellinger
was great.
Good.
That was a great deal.
Well, first off, I don't think it's related to Bellinger at all. Like maybe the process during free agency. Bellinger was bad at baseball for 4 straight seasons, and then got a prove-it deal from the Cubs. He excelled, entered free agency again, and the Cubs re-signed him last year. Alex Bregman has never been lower than a 4-WAR player outside of the 2020 60-game season and the 1 year that he was hurt for over half the season. He has consistently been a very valuable player. There has not been a season, when he's healthy at least, where he hasn't been a good baseball player. This has nothing to do with Cody Bellinger.
Well, what I would say about the Bellinger deal is if you want to compare the two, because it could be a short-term opt-out
That's
type
the only
situation,
thing.
right?
Like if you're talking about contract
and a high AAV, all of those things, and a guy that was good but seems to be declining a little bit, at least offensively. You're talking about a guy that was the Gold Glove winner at third last year. I would say this. If you asked me which was I more adamant about the Cubs needing, right? I would say Bellinger 2.0 was one that I was like, they have to get it done.
Well, yeah, after
way more than I am right now, they have to get this done for Bregman. So that's why I think they have to hold their ground on this and let him come to them at this point. If he goes to the Tigers, he goes to the Tigers. I've said before, I'm okay with trying the Matt Shaw experiment and whatever the backup plan may be, Birdie, whoever. But and then if you still need to address it again at the trade deadline and you're still in it, fine. But you're talking about your top prospect. Yeah. You're talking about a prospect that some people say is the best hitter in the minor leagues. Like, I'm okay with that if it's a quote-unquote backup plan. To me, even though it didn't work out, the contract that they got on Bellinger 2.0, I think the Cubs needed to sign him more last year than the Cubs need to sign Bregman this year.
And I would agree with that. Yeah.
And I could be wrong long term. Like, Bregman could sign and turn out to be the perfect player. I'm just saying, I think they have a better option for this. I don't think
they're not desperate.
They're not desperate. They don't have to be forced into it. They were desperate for another left-handed bat last year. Yeah. And it showed when he didn't play well at times and when he was hurt at times.
Yeah. I understand the sentiment behind like this being similar to Cody Bellinger. I just think there has been more consistency on Alex Bregman's baseball card than Cody Bellinger's in the last 5 years. 5-6 years, right? I think, like I talked about this with Alex Cohen last week when he came on when you were out in Mexico. Again, his worst seasons were the last 2 years, and he was still a 4-win player.
Right.
He still was a run producer. He still hit nearly 30 home runs last year. I understand that he's 30 now. Well, Dansby Swanson's 30 now. Like, they're the same ages. I still think that you probably still have at least 2-3 more years of solid baseball. And again, we say this a lot. Like, yes, maybe some guys are different. Like the Dodgers signing Ohtani, who's the best player in baseball.
And Kershaw. Right? Well, they just add guys. Yeah, okay, go on.
That's not the point I'm trying to make.
Okay, sorry.
Usually, the free agents you sign, they're supposed to be not necessarily supplemental, but like you want to already have a really good team together. But when you go into free agency and add a guy like an Alex Bregman, that's a guy that increases your floor or maybe increases the possibility of the ceiling being higher. Like, they have a good team. Like, the scenario here with Alex Bregman is completely different to Cody Bellinger, like you just said, in terms of they desperately needed a left-handed bat. They desperately needed a guy to hit in the middle of the order. They got Kyle Tucker. They have Seiya Suzuki. They have Michael Busch. They have Ian Happ. Like, those are all guys that can be anywhere in that 3 to 6 range in the lineup if you absolutely need them to. Plus, you have prospects on the way. Right? So, no, they're not desperate for Alex Bregman, but does he raise the floor? You can't sit here and objectively tell me that he doesn't based off the back of the baseball card. Unless you have a crystal ball and you can tell me that he's going to suck this year. If you do, please let me know, because then I'll change my entire tone on this. Okay? I'm with you in general. Like, they're not desperate for Alex Bregman, but he certainly makes the team better. He certainly increases the floor, and you can make the argument that he increases the ceiling with all of your young prospects set to debut this year, with the fact that Matt Shaw would get a softer landing spot. The only things about it that I'm not a fan of is the fact that they will be, if they sign him and it's anywhere close to $30 million, they're going to be right there at the first tier luxury tax. And at some point, they will have to, they might have to trade someone. And if they want to add a pitcher at the deadline, Nico Horner will probably be in trade talks the first half of the season. Or, as we talked about last year, they might trade him. I'm not pro for that. Now, again, if that is what happens, it's going to take a lot out of me to support that, because I just feel like it doesn't coincide with everything I just said about increasing the floor and potentially the ceiling. Like, if you're going to add a Bregman but trade Horner, who's been a 3.5, 4 WAR player each of the last 2 years, like, and relying on Shaw to be something at third base or at second base in that scenario, I just don't think that's good. Like, it's not really changing anything. You're probably still the same, Like, but if you're adding Bregman, holding on to Nico, and letting Shaw be a super utility type, that's what I would prefer. I don't know what will happen. I lean to think that they'll probably trade Nico. Maybe you get a pitcher in return, but then you're still at the near the first tier luxury tax, depending on how much money you're probably getting back in the return, like the money that you're gonna have to pay whoever. So, I mean, it's February 11th. I've done all the different scenarios. All I know is that if you add Bregman, the team's floor certainly raises. And I think that kind of overshadows everything else in my head.
Yeah, and just to further that too, I think Brendan brought up that with Pacoda projections, it's like a 6-win, like even if you perfectly
variance
predict,
either way.
The season right, like there's still a 6-win variance either way. So they're projected at 91. That could be anywhere from, if I do my math correctly, 85 or 97. You get Bregman, that pushes you closer to that 97. You even get closer to that 100. So, I mean, obviously, it makes it even more in stone that they would win 91. And that would easily win the Central in my mind.
Sure.
Or it would give you 87 and 97, the sevens that I talked about when I saw the signs when my car was 77,777 miles, and then I saw the jersey of 77.
Now,
all of those things would fall in line.
If they don't get Bregman, you have Shaw at third, you keep Nico at second, and they add Turner most likely. You're still going to have a ton of space between that before that first tier luxury tax, and they could potentially then go make some huge trade at the deadline. The thing about it that gives me anxiety is that, will they be in it? I think they will. I think they have a good enough team to be in it, especially in this division. But we said the same thing last year. And so it gives me anxiety about that route. So if that is the route that ends up happening because Bregman chooses another team, then so be it. We can't force Alex Bregman to sign with the Cubs.
Right.
But there's the scenarios in that, I guess, it could allow them to make some other moves. Maybe they sign another starter, or
that's the question. That's the question is, I understand what they're saying about pivoting to Justin Turner, but maybe the pivot play should be for a starter, considering that there have been some injuries. We've got that update coming for you in just a second, and we'll talk about how these things kind of are related to each other in just a minute. But first, a word from our sponsors. Is there any better combination than Hooters and Chicago sports? All right, let's just say Hooters. What makes the original Hooters so special? Simple. They care about their people, the food they serve, their guests, and their community. Every Tuesday in February through the 25th, Your wing craving can make a difference. Hooters is donating a portion of chicken wing sales to Holy Family Schools, helping fund tuition, books, classroom supplies, and more for kids in under-resourced communities. With the support of our Chicagoland Hooters family, we've raised over $1 million since 1992. Let's keep it going because kids can't fly without wings. Cheer on your favorite team from any one of their 11 Chicagoland locations. Got one in Schaumburg, got one out by O'Hare, Orland Park, Wells Street, you name it. You can even order online, pickup or delivery. Check them out, originalhooters.com. Love me the honey barbecue.
Those wings, man.
Woo, the honey barbecue.
Their French fries hit too.
Those
Big
make
fan.
Talk about kids can't fly without wings. I can't fly without the honey barbecue.
Yeah, same. Especially when they brought them in here to us. Game Time has a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets for events even easier. Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets to find the best value. If I could, which I can't today, I would hop in the car after the show and commute all the way down to Champaign and go to Illinois and UCLA tonight. Kofi Coburn going to be honored, and Sky Clark returning, who used to play for Illinois, returning.
Where's Kofi Coburn now?
He plays in South Korea.
Interesting.
But they're honoring him tonight at the State Farm Center. Should be a really good atmosphere. All right, but I cannot go. But if you want to, you can use Game Time and go. Last minute. Hop in the car right now. If you live here in the suburbs or in the city, you get there well before if you live right now, right? So I think that's the great thing. If you get your ticket right before first tip, you get it at a better price, all right? So like I said, the Game Time Picks makes it easier to find the better value on tickets. They have the all-in pricing. Toggling that feature shows the total up front with no surprise fees at checkout. No one likes a bait and switch, Luke. No one likes it at all right? And they have seat views in the app, which give you a panoramic view from your seat in the app before you buy. It's the lowest price guaranteed, or Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. Your tickets are guaranteed to be delivered on time, and your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. All right? Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CHGO for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem with code CHGO for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last-minute tickets. Lowest price, guaranteed.
Craig saying in the YouTube chat, did you know Hooters used to have their own airlines?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
I didn't know that.
It was
Hooters Airlines.
in existence for 3 years, and they used to fly out of Gary and Rockford.
Yeah.
Not O'Hare or Midway, but Gary and Rockford.
So it was just called Hooters Airlines?
Yeah.
Hooters Air.
Hooters Air.
Yeah.
Okay.
I
the
thought
more
it
you
still
know.
existed. I didn't know it was gone. So Gary Ross, friend of the show, you can't spell Ross without the ROS from Rosenthal. Breaking stories.
That's a good way to put it.
He said, the Javier Assad news came out yesterday.
Yep.
Craig Counsell said Javier Assad, oblique strain or tenderness, and everybody started kind of worry, and I guess he came out and said it's going to be a slow build-up, out for a short time. We're talking about days, not weeks. Mm-hmm. You also had the combination of that, one of their top pitching prospects, Brandon Birdsell, who was the pitcher of the year in the minor league system in 2024. He had something back of the shoulder, lat. I don't know what the update on that is. Mm-hmm. So it got me to thinking about all the hype around the Bregman stuff. And the Cubs have built all this depth that they've tried to build around starting pitching, and this is part of the reason why. But we've often asked, should the move still be to go get another pitcher? Like, is Cease or King or whomever you might be asking for, is that a better play? Is that a better use of the money and the resources, whether that's, talking about trading guys, obviously. Is that a better use of the resources that you have for this team and beyond?
Well,
and so even though Assad is not injured long term, I don't love the idea of one of potentially my fifth starter starting camp with a sore oblique. Right. I don't like one of the depth guys behind him in the minor league system talking about his lat or his back of his shoulder. Don't like either one of them. And so the answer might be yes.
Yeah.
The answer might be yes.
I think.
And not just because of that, Cody. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, it just brings you back to the point that pitching
I think a month ago when the Bregman stuff really started to take off and me and you were sitting here saying, 2%, 5% chance. Like, we made arguments that we still felt like they needed another pitcher or a reliever. Now they added the reliever getting Brazier from the Dodgers, which I think is a fine move. And if they don't land Bregman, they could add another reliever if they wanted to. They've been linked to David Robertson all offseason.
Still, I saw Kenley Jansen finally went to the Angels.
Right. So, for me, yeah, I would love another starter on this team. And if they don't land Bregman and they shift that way, fine. Now, in terms of which one I'd rather have, I've made the argument of why you would want Bregman on your team because it increases the floor of the team. Now, depending on the pitcher, if
Dylan Cease would too,
right? Dylan Cease for sure would increase the ceiling. That said, though, are the Padres going to come down on what they're asking? Because if they're so desperate to get under the first-tier luxury tax, they shouldn't be asking for Matt Shaw. And honestly, I think I can sit here and make an argument that they shouldn't be asking for Owen Casey either if they don't have any leverage in this at all. Because, again, if they want to shred payroll, they don't really get to make the decisions on what they want to acquire from the Cubs for a guy like Cease. On the other hand of that too, like Dylan Cease is Dylan Cease, so he is worth something. So I think the Cubs are willing to meet halfway on this. Are the Padres willing to? And the longer we sit here, maybe they will. But from all the rumors related to Cease, let's just use Dylan Cease as the main thing because the King stuff has really quieted down.
Player X Cease, right? We'll use it as Cease.
Like if the Padres are willing to do that with a guy like Cease, who if they trade him, they will be able to get below that first-tier luxury tax, then sure. Would I rather have Cease than Alex Bregman? I can make the same arguments about Cease as I did about Bregman and how the floor increases. And it's basically both of them are 1-year deals basically. The only thing is that you're for sure only getting one year out of Dylan Cease, and then we'll sit here in the offseason wondering if, the trade was worth it because they probably are, in my opinion, they should be focusing on re-signing Kyle Tucker. Will they be able to re-sign both? Depends on what Cease's market is at that point. It could certainly be a lot more than what people are envisioning it today. So I just think the difference for sure is that you're going to have to trade prospects. Maybe Nico is part of that conversation too. And then it's like, okay, well, who's going to play second base for you? Would it be Shaw? Would you put Birdie at third?
Right.
That's
what Born to Run 99 says in the live YouTube chat. He says Bregman's a big name, but he's not the same player anymore. Not worth essentially swapping out Nico for him or going right up to the CBT for him. Let Shaw play. Try to get Cease.
Yeah, no, I get it. I totally get it.
Listen, either move and some other ones that are out there, they're all going to be they're not going to be slam dunks. You're not going to know if they're a slam dunk until the season is played out. You're not and frankly the future either based on prospects that are traded. Keep in mind with the Bregman thing, it's $1 million. I believe because he had the qualifying offer, he's $1 million in international money pool. And he's 2 picks. I can't remember if it's a first and a fifth or a second and a fifth. Second and a fifth. So
I've made that argument about why we shouldn't go after him too.
It's not.
Yeah.
It's probably not the reason they wouldn't do the deal, but it is a factor.
Yeah.
You still have to consider it. You still are giving up some of your currency to go get that player as well as potentially, $25, $30 million a year.
Yeah. Yeah,
and maybe more in tax money.
Sure. All I know is that Dylan Cease, he's going to make somewhere between $10 to $12 million this year, based off what they settled on. So if you add him via trade, you're still really well set under the first-tier luxury tax. So, if it increases the floor for 2025 and you miss out on Bregman, like I'm here for it. He's used to be part of the organization, as we all know. The Cubs clearly love the guy because they wouldn't be part of the trade rumor if they didn't. And plus, we know that they love to go get guys that used to be in the organization if they have moved them in other trades, right? We've seen that in the last few years. So it's hard to decide which one I'd rather have. I think if you want to talk about having flexibility at the trade deadline, you can make us like a real argument for going that route with Cease or a pitcher, player X pitcher, right? But just know that you're gonna have to trade. If you want a high end guy, you're gonna have to trade like a guy like an Owen Casey or Alcantara. I don't think the Cubs will trade Shaw at all, and that's why I don't know if they'll be able to get something done with the Padres because that's the rumor that the Padres want Shaw, and I don't think the Cubs are going to do that.
One thing that I don't think would derail a trade if you were trying to do it, but people have been talking about this, whether it's the Cease deal or whatever. That it's probably either Casey or Alcantara or someone like that, and then some other pitchers involved, maybe Nico involved, right? Like, okay, Assad just had this oblique thing, which we now know is not like a super serious injury. But if you're Jed Hoyer or Carter Hawkins and you're sitting there and you have, let's say potentially you're sitting there today and you're thinking, we've got this deal done. They want Assad. Well, there's going to be some hesitation from that team, right? Mm-hmm. And I would think Assad is a replaceable name. That's why I don't think it's a deal breaker. If you were talking about now Nico was shut down at spring training, that's a different story. But I think that type of player, Assad, who was valuable last year, you could find someone else to put in there. But I think they want to have a Ben Brown more than they might want to have Assad. I don't know. Like, I'd love to know how they rank each of those players in their mind. If they were just ranking their players in value to them, I would think Ben Brown would be higher on their list than Assad, even though Counsell has said, man, Assad was one of the most valuable guys on our team last year.
Yeah. I would be really mad if the Cubs traded Ben Brown and an Owen Casey or Kevin Alcantara
for 1 year of
for 1 year. I would be very upset.
I would hesitate on it too. Now, the only way I could say something like that is worth the risk is if you've got an injury to your rotation and you're at the trade deadline and you see that there's a fit and someone can push you across the finish line into the postseason with a realistic shot of whatever you might do in the postseason. That's a different story. To do it today, no, I would not.
But that said, like, if it was Birdsell instead of Assad, like, I'd be fine with that, probably. I just think Ben Brown is a guy that I don't know if I can say untouchable, but he has one of the higher ceilings in that pitching staff in general.
Wicks is probably the name that would be the most likely to be.
Yeah, Wicks is a guy that I could see being part of the trade too. Now, in terms of just the conversation of these guys' injuries, for the sake of conversation, say that this Assad and the Birdsell thing we're sitting here still talking about it,
slowing
going to
them
Japan.
Down regardless.
Right. Like, you have a guy like Jordan Wicks. You got Ben Brown who can start some games. I would love to have more information about what's going on with Cade Horton. Like, he's there.
People have said he looks good.
He's doing pitching drills in terms of fielding and stuff, but I haven't seen him doing any actual like pitching to guys. I haven't, at least. So I think they're going real slow with him right now, and that's fine. But if I had more clarity about what's going on with Cade Horton, I'd feel a lot better about this Birdsell and Assad thing, I think. But because I don't, it gives me a little bit of just like angst. It's not too crazy because we could get to the end of the week and they could we could have a better clarity, or if they're back on Monday, it's February.
Right.
It's early February, right? But for sure, the Assad thing is a little bit more concerning because he is on the 40-man. He has been one of your, really solid, versatile arms. Like, they need to get him right. If he's going to be here, whatever you got to do to get him back out there eventually, like, that's important. So, and I guess the good news is, except for the fact that it is an oblique, at least it's not arm-related.
Right.
So
I saw a soundbite from Colin Ray, I think it was yesterday on Marquee, when he was talking about he's here to do whatever they need him to do, whether that is a bullpen role or whether that is a starter. Does he like starting? Yeah, everybody likes to be a starter. But he signed knowing that he could be used in either role. Now, I don't know who was at the front of the list for that quote-unquote fifth starter spot that Council says doesn't even really exist. Or it was Jed that was saying, like, the fourth, fifth starter. We just call guys pitchers, basically, at this point,
Yeah.
It might have been Ray anyway, but yeah, I see Gary just said there too that, like, he'll be stretched out. Well, yeah, he and Wicks are now the obvious guys to potentially take that role.
Yeah.
The first go at that. And it doesn't mean that one wouldn't shift to the bullpen or one wouldn't, all of it. Like, it's pretty flexible once you have those top three guys, it's pretty flexible. 4.
I'm glad you mentioned Colin Ray because I knew I was blanking on someone.
Right, but
yeah.
He's the most likely guy, or Wicks. And we still don't know how they plan on filtering in Ben Brown this season. We don't know where those guys are going to go, and it may change halfway through the year.
Yeah.
But it's just a point that it's sort of crazy. We've talked about depth last year, and we said, I feel fairly comfortable, but I think they could use another guy. And then it was just they were dropping like flies all over baseball. Pitchers, they've gone 2 days. 2 days, and they've got 2 guys injured. And knock on wood that nobody's seriously injured. We don't know what the bird cell thing is. Great news that it's not for Assad, but I'm not saying you should be freaked out that Javier Assad has an oblique soreness 2 days in and it's only February 11th. That's not going to change everything. I'm just saying, wow, 2 days and you're already talking about 2 guys a little sore?
I believe Assad got hurt from sliding drills.
Oh, really?
That's what Gary was telling me in the Discord yesterday. And I was like, good Lord, why is this guy sliding? Like, he ain't going to hit.
No, it was a slip and slide he was on. It was not. No, I'm kidding.
Don't tease me like that.
He was going to the drive-through and he was on a slip and slide, hanging his hand up.
Yeah. Anyway.
By the way, I had Taco Bell for the first time in 30 years the other day.
Wow. Just a really bad 30-year.
I was driving by a Taco Bell. I hadn't had lunch on the way home, and I'm just like, I'm just going to get 2 tacos. Went through, and I was like, I remember the taste, and it's not bad. I kind of enjoyed it. Not going to lie, but it had been since I don't believe I've had Taco Bell to eat since I worked in Lincoln, Nebraska, which was like 98.
Sounds like a really bad 30-year run.
I know. Like, I knew Cody wouldn't believe it. He's like,
that's a terrible 30-year run, man. You've been missing out.
So wait, Cody, that means
late 90s.
You've never had a Crunchwrap Supreme.
I've never even heard of that.
Ugh. You got to get the cheesy gordita crunch.
But Sean, you saw the chocolate chip cookie I made on Sunday.
My wife was kind of trashing it. Honestly, she said that it was a little too cakey. It looked like it might be a little too cakey. It did look
kind of cakey. But I like the form of it.
Listen, that's why I said there are all types. There are the crispy chocolate chip cookies. There's the ones that people like to put oatmeal in them. Sometimes I've heard people do Rice Krispies in them. Yeah?
Yeah.
Listen, let me just tell you, if this cookie's warm, and by the way, had a backup one last night when I got home, they're better the second day. Better the second day.
She's more of a crispy cookie person, so I think that's where the meshing of heads went.
I got to see it. I didn't have a chance last night to finish up making the cookies. If I have extra dough, maybe, I'm not going to be here tomorrow, snow day.
Oh,
Looks like I'm just going to have to sit at home and eat the rest of the
I
batter.
was going to say, I think you're just going to eat all
Just
the
going to have
cookies
to make
tomorrow.
cookies and sit by myself and eat chocolate chip cookies. And then every once in a while log on and be like, Cody, how about those Cubs?
Yeah. Well, best of luck.
Yeah. All right. So do we want to do our we've been going around saying, like, what are the rankings in the National League, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we're holding off
We're holding off third base.
We're holding off third base
for obvious reasons.
Yes. We don't have to totally explain it, but we're holding off on third base for special reasons.
Yeah.
So we did first, we did second, we did short.
Yep.
We're skipping third, and we're going to DH, which Council has made very clear is Seiya Suzuki, despite international pressure from many people.
Yeah.
Like saying, I don't think he wants to. He looks good. Where does Seiya rank in your National League DH?
So let's just go through the list.
I mean, number one is probably the most obvious number one of any player at any position in Major League Baseball. Who is the best DH?
Shohei Ohtani.
Shohei Ohtani.
Shohei Ohtani.
That is not questionable.
We don't even need to go through the numbers. It's absolutely unreal the kind of offensive season he put up last year with the rehab of Tommy John surgery at the same time. So yeah, we go with Ohtani. I hate putting Marcell Ozuna on any list because I think he's a terrible person, but he belongs on the list. And then we went Kyle Schwarber, who had one of his best years last year, right?
Yeah, Ron Lambert says, look at all the former Cubs on that list. It is littered with former Cubs.
Yeah. Then we went Seiya Suzuki at number 4. Then Jock Peterson, number 5. Wilson Contreras, number 6. Jorge Soler, number 7. JD Martinez, number 8. Andrew McCutchen, 9. And then we put Alec Burleson, number 10, because I think he might be doing more DH next year. Kind of hard to tell on who's going to play in those in that role on a more consistent basis. But I feel like our top 4 for sure will be mostly DH.
Yeah. Gary's talking about how will Soto be DHing. Yeah, if he plays more DH, then we already had him on a list.
For
so if he plays more DH, then obviously it goes Ohtani, Soto.
Yeah. But it's hard to tell.
That does make 1, 2 pretty interesting.
Yeah. And we put Wilson Contreras on the first base list, and you really think that he's just going to end up there completely?
Right. I had to put him at DH because he'll end up there. They'll play him a few games at first base, and then halfway through the season, they'll be like, he can't catch, and he's not a first baseman. He's our DH.
Yeah.
I'll be shocked if he doesn't have more games at DH than he does at first base this season. We'll see.
I mean, he doesn't have a lot of experience at first.
I am not a Wilson Contreras hater.
You are not.
I don't hold a grudge.
Yeah, not like me. But I think I should have said top 5. Like Jock Peterson did a lot of DH last year. There's ridiculous amount of former Cubs in here.
There's a lot. Yeah, Soler, JD.
But Seiya Suzuki 140 WRC plus last year in the DH role. So he's a guy. When we talk about exceeding projections, Luke, he's a guy that he was a 3.6 WAR last season, and he was terrible in the outfield. This is a guy that if he can finally get to a 30 home run season, which I think it's in him. I do think it's in him. If he can get to that, or at least close to a 30 home run season, this guy could be right. Like he could be one of the best hitters in baseball, or viewed as one of the best hitters in baseball. I believe he's already viewed as, a really good hitter, but I think we could start saying great hitter if he could just slug a little bit more.
I know we look at this through our cubby-colored shady rays, so I am curious what Sean thinks. Like, when you look at this list of DH
again, and
in
this
the
is
National
League, by the way,
just the National League, even if we were to add Soto to this list, okay? Do you see a way that Seiya drops out of the top 5 this season? Like, what are the odds that he wouldn't be in the top 5? To me, he's pretty solid as a top 5 DH in the National League. I could see a scenario where he's banged up a lot and it doesn't happen. But I think his track record shows you that even if Soto were on this list, that he'd at least be still number 5.
Just looking at the list, I do think we have 2 entries that shouldn't be on it. So I do think that helps Seiya staying in the top 5.
Okay.
Soler is on the Angels now, right? So he's an American League player.
Yeah, I don't know where Soler is.
Okay, I think Soler's now
All right,
in
look him
Anaheim.
up for us, would you?
No, I think I just know it. And then JD Martinez is a
Did
free
we forget that
Son of a-
Soler?
Martinez is a free agent. JD hasn't signed yet. So you're
Yeah, we
7
put Pete Alonso on the one.
Yeah,
list.
we
Yeah.
put Alonso on.
So,
7
that
and
was
8,
before.
7 and 8. But
But that doesn't impact the top 5.
I mean, Jock
It
had like
doesn't
a
impact the top 5. Thanks for correcting our mistake.
Yeah, Jock had
Credit
like
to
a
you.
really nice year last year, but I think that he kind of peaked at where he
Berto
is.
says he is an angel.
Unless Contreras really just settles into that DH spot, I think that Seiya is likely a top 5 NLDH.
I think so. Yes, everybody's saying he's an angel. He's an angel. He's an angel.
Shit.
I just thought
I
they were saying he was a
completely
good guy.
forgot.
Thought they were saying he was a good guy.
I thought he was still in San Francisco, to be honest with you. So
Anyway, we'll take
that's
him
our
off
bad.
our list.
I think of all of the lists that we've done, that's the first time we made that mistake.
Generally, we don't make them.
That's our first.
We don't
mistake
make them.
in terms of putting a guy who's
And if this were
Not
a
in the
pre-taped
National
show,
League
if you're
on it.
listening to it in podcast form, just know we've corrected it.
yeah.
There was no mistake. Don't go back and try and find the old version. It never happened.
We tried. All right, we tried.
But that is a pretty solid top 5. If you had to put Soto on there, Ohtani, Soto, Ozuna, Schwarber, Seiya that's slugger's row right there. And that's why when people fought the DH over and over, and I was one of them because I loved seeing Zambrano bat, and it was one of my favorite things. My favorite part about Zambrano was him hitting more than it was him pitching because it was such a vibe. But the game is better with the DH. It is better with the DH. Even though John Lester could do amazing things, as Corey Friedman would tell you, with the bat.
That opposite field homer he once hit. That Jake Arrieta playoff homer he hit in San Francisco. Right? Travis Wood, Cubs legend.
Travis Wood.
You know, I do miss pitchers hitting sometimes.
Kerry Wood.
But, you know, it is better. I'm glad I never have to see Jose Quintana try and hit again. You know, like there's plenty of those, you know, but yeah, DH does make offense more fun, makes your lineup look better. And it allows you to, you know, for the Cubs, you don't have to put PCA in the 8-hole, you know, unless you're Joe Madden and you're going to put the pitcher in the 8-hole and put PCA in the 9-hole. You know what I mean? So anyway, yeah, I just think Seiya, I don't know if he's going to be better than Ozuna or Schwarber, and he definitely won't be better than Ohtani offensively. But, you know, there's a lot of room here between Seiya and the rest of these guys, I think.
I think the bottom half of the list is fairly soft. Yeah. If we're
JD
just going
Martinez
around different
older,
positions, the
you know.
bottom half of the list is
Andrew McCutchen
fairly
at the,
weak. That's
you
why we
know,
threw a name like Soler in there, and he doesn't even play in the league.
Yeah. Alec Burleson, like, ugh, whatever, man. And you think that Wilson Contreras is just, well, you think he will be at the
I
DH.
think he'll end up there. I know we had him at first base, but I'm also putting him at DH because that's where he's going to be. Barb wants me to take everybody to Taco Bell after the show. Barb, I only won $162.50 in the on Super Bowl bets from Circa.
That would pay for 3 people to go to Taco Bell.
Listen.
Easily.
Yeah, that's right.
Not Jay.
Jay Zawoski says, no, that's not going to cover it. That's not going to do it.
Cheesy Gordita Crunch. Get the $5 box.
They reeled me back in. I will say they reeled me back in. That was Gary Ross has never had Taco Bell. I've never been a huge Taco Bell guy, but 30 years.
Greg Braggs is somewhere just shaking his head.
He lives on it. Hey, make sure, I'm not going to take you to Taco Bell after the show, but I will make sure you've got a Die Hard card in your back pocket. All you have to do is subscribe to be a Die Hard, get the membership, get the discounts at the takeovers, all of those things. You get the free shirt, you get the articles, you get the access, you get the newsletters, but most of all, you get that Die Hard card. And that is credibility. in your back pocket. You got a diehard card and you got some of that Mount Fuji on your feet from Mando. Now you got yourself a Valentine's Day winner. Thanks for checking out the CHGO Cubs podcast. We are back at 1:30 tomorrow. Unless Bregman signs with the Cubs earlier, then we will have to do it.
Yes.
An emergency podcast.
But we'll be from the warm homes because of the snowstorm coming.
That's right. Snow day tomorrow. We'll be here 1:30. Thanks for watching Fly the W.
We all silly like the mayor.